Hi, everyone. My name is Allie Patrick from Quest, and I'd like to welcome you to today's Reconnect Dive Deep session. I have a few reminders before we get started. Attendees will remain muted throughout the session. However, if you'd like to be unmuted to ask a question, use the raise hand feature. I will be able to give you permission to speak at that time. You can also type your question into the Q&A module in your Zoom toolbar at the bottom of the screen. We'll address any questions at the end of the session or throughout when Cameron gets a chance. At this time, I'll turn things over to our speaker, Cameron McClurg, and thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Ellie. So nice to be with you today. This is the short form demo only, so it's not the long form presentation, but we've got about 30 minutes to do a little bit of a demonstration, but definitely want you to feel comfortable to ask questions and that sort of thing. And this is the short form of a presentation I do many times, which goes over in more detail everything you're going to see today with Oracle Guided Learning for PeopleSoft. I'm really excited to be with you today. Two other sessions I'll just point out. Tomorrow, there is a session with Kaiser Permanente where it's more of a deep dive in how they're using Oracle Guided Learning, as well as a customer panel that I'm running later tomorrow, which will include several customers who get to share their experience in more of a customer panel type format. So anyway, nice to be with you today. Again, feel free to ask questions, unmute yourself and ask if you have any questions. I will pause a couple times and just let people know if there's a spot for asking questions, but if there's something pressing, definitely feel free. All right, so that's me, Cameron McClurg, a Vice President of SPEARMC. I've been doing PeopleSoft work for a very long time, and most of that has been as an employee in a BA or manager or director role where I covered support and training for PeopleSoft. And so, given all those years of dealing with end user support, it provides me a perspective that's probably similar to many of yours and not consistent with most consultants, right? Consultants don't have to go through the day-to-day grind of support for users, and I did that for many years. And so when I got to see Oracle Guided Learning and how it could be introduced as essentially a support tool, which you're going to see today, I was I was hooked immediately, and I thought I wish I would have had this when I was doing all the support in all the various organizations that I've worked at. But generally here at SpearMC, I lead Oracle Guided Learning practice, of course, but then several other areas. And I see many of my customers already here in the participants. So nice to see all of you. SpearMC, I'm sure you've heard of us. You've probably been to some of our sessions. We do a little bit of everything, but generally speaking, it's PeopleSoft centric. If it's PeopleSoft, we say yes. PeopleSoft, we do it. Whether that's the type of work we do, managed services, consulting, heavy into training, which actually led to our introduction, or not introduction, but the request from Oracle to become the sort of exclusive partner on Oracle Guided Learning for PeopleSoft. Our legacy of really investing in training, as well as our embrace of emerging technology. Those two things kind of led to Oracle partnering with us to bring Oracle Guided Learning out to the masses. And we're really excited to be in that role. And you'll hear more about that today. Just a little bit about SpearMC. We, of course, have specializations, but we're really proud of also our SOC 2 Type 2 certification, as well as our recognition by Gartner. Those two pieces are real game changers for the way we see ourselves and the recognition we've gotten over the years in really being hyper focused on PeopleSoft and doing managed services, OCI, etc. So it's really a nice feather in our cap to say that. But anyways, let's talk about one more, sorry, training. We've got a bunch of new training stuff coming. I know we don't have a big campus solutions audience here in this conference, but we are introducing a whole bunch of campus solutions training this fall and winter. We're really excited about, but we've been there already doing financials, people tools, HCM. uh, we are the go-to on the training side, and we just got so much content. We'd love to talk to you more about that if you guys want to know more about what we're doing with training. Okay, let's talk about OGL. So Work Guide Learning is essentially a digital adoption platform. And a digital adoption platform is perhaps a term you might not have heard of, but it is something that is all around you. I call it something that's hiding in plain sight. It's right in front of you. It's on your phone. It's on your smart TV. It's on a website. It's all over the place. And sometimes it can be very subtle and helpful. In this case, you can see my iPhone that after an iOS update, it notified me that there were some changes to both the weather application and the mail application. The application itself looked exactly the same as it did before the iOS update, but Apple essentially wanted to communicate to me as a user of their phone that something was new and something was added, a new feature, something that could help me as an end user of the phone. So there was more detail in the on the daily weather, or there was a new feature that I could send a message later. And so these little pop-up messages are very subtle, but they're in the application and offer that guidance. And essentially, that is what a digital adoption platform is. It's no code in the software, but it integrates completely on top of the application to help the user understand how to use the application. And given the technology here of how it sits basically on top of the application, but really in the application, versus what we consider traditional or legacy training, where it's look away, you're in some other application, you're in some document, you're in some PDF, you're on an actual physical printout in a notebook or something. That's look away. It's not in the application. It's not smart in terms of being able to see what the user is doing and perhaps offer guidance if it sees the user doing something perhaps that it thinks that we could offer help. Maybe that's just coming to a certain page and offering help or whatever. So that is what a digital adoption platform. It's much smarter, and I don't even want to call it a training tool. It's really a support tool, and that's why we present it that way. So Org Guide Learning is Oracle's version of that. It's really now, like I said, real time in the application, and it can help people take what would normally be something a little bit more complex and reduce it to a very simple walkthrough kind of process. That leads to fast time productivity, not only for your core users who, let's say you have a new user coming in that's going to be part of your benefits team or your accounts payable team, somebody who needs to use the application all the time and they need to learn how to do their things. This will help them to be productive. But it really shines when you're talking about more casual users, individuals who don't get in the application very often. These are end users, managers, individuals who don't really know how to use the application and don't really care to memorize how to use the application. So think about your managers who need to come in and do approvals every once in a while. It's an employee maybe coming in and wanting to understand a little bit better about the benefits open enrollment, or how do I do a life event and I can't remember how to do a life event, or perhaps it's something that we want to introduce to as a support team, want to introduce a change, so a change management type of situation where we tell somebody there's something new in the application. The third piece that really differentiates OGL is the ability for to embed analytics. So the analytics are completely embedded in the application, will allow your support individuals to see exactly where people are leveraging the guides, where they're not leveraging the guides. So, for example, in a support desk type of role, a user calls in and says, "Hey, I don't know how to do such and such a thing." That support desk administrator can simply go into analytics and see if this person's actually run any of the guides that show them how to do the thing that they're asking about. This is a real game changer if you ever have done support desk. How many times do we take phone calls from people and you're saying, well, geez, I know this is documented in a training guide. Why aren't you just looking at the training guide? Well, let's not hammer that user too hard because that training guide is offline. It is look away. It's not embedded in the application. So the analytics allows us to sort of see that and to really offer that additional layer into that support business process to understand what the person's doing, if they provide feedback, all that stuff is all captured in the analytics. So I'm going to now switch over and actually do a demo. We've got, again, about 20 minutes left. So I'm going to just kind of jump in and actually do a demo. So let me stop sharing. and move over to my other screen. Second. Okay, and I'm going to be logging into a PeopleSoft uh, application 860. This is on financials application on PUM 47. And so I'm going to go ahead and log in. And what you'll notice here when we first log in is there's a few things that are a little bit different that weren't there before. You'll notice these little question marks popped up over here next to next to these buttons over here. You have this widget over here. This widget is essentially my help center or train center where all of my guides, I could present them in this help center where all my guides could be here. If I click on any of these, it will launch me into a process or into an announcement, that type of thing. So it's all there in the library. But what I like is where you actually can embed help on any specific screen. So for example, here, I can put this on here and allow a user to understand a little bit more about what it means to have a homepage. Maybe they want to understand a little bit more. Maybe they want to understand how to personalize a homepage or even add a homepage. Any of those. And so this is essentially what's called a smart tip that allows the user to click into any one of these things. And this would then launch into a process guide that shows them essentially whatever you're trying to show them. And maybe it's a just sort of an overview of what homepages are all about, or maybe it's how to personalize or even add one. So you can actually take some pretty complex things and add just a simple process guide and make the really complex things that people don't necessarily know how to do and bring it forward into a very easy step-by-step process guide. I'm going to actually click on this one up here. This is a little tip related to the search up here. And I actually wrote this one because many organizations, as they switch from a menu paradigm to a search paradigm, have to really offer guidance to their users. Their users have been using perhaps PeopleSoft for many years and aren't totally comfortable with search. Maybe they've used search in the past and it's not quite as good as the current open search model where things are just much better in search. So maybe they're just sort of resistant against using search. So we can offer that little bit of subtle help to say, you know what, did you know that you could find that hard to find menu item or even find content? Let's go ahead and so this, again, is a smart tip that's sort of telling me there's something here. And I'm going to go, okay, yeah, I'll go ahead and click here and learn more about search. So I'm going to click into it. It's now going to launch me into a little process guide that starts again with a little header saying, okay, this guide is going to show you how to, search. So I'm going to go ahead and click. I'm clicking through it, and it's now going to say, and you'll notice that everything's grayed out here, drawing my attention up here to the menu. Now, this is completely just a feature. It's a checkbox to say, do I want to have everything grayed out, or do I want to still allow everything to be available? In this case, this was a choice that I made in the design of this specific process guide to draw people's attention. You'll notice the only thing that is actually active now with this, because of this overlay, is this button right here, which is menu. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it. It's telling me to click on it. And you'll notice that there's no next button here because it knows when I actually do the thing that it's telling me to do, it actually takes me right on to the next step. In this case, go ahead and click on accounts payable. You'll see there's this beacon, red pulsating circle. This is drawing, again, another feature that just allows me to draw a user's attention to this spot in the accounts payable content. I'm going to go ahead and click on that accounts payable. It takes me on to the next step, which is going to go here in a second. And what happened? It sort of stopped. Let me try that again. Okay, something didn't like that one. Let me try that again. Apologize about that. All right, so I'm clicking on accounts payable, and this was working 30 minutes ago and no longer working. I apologize. All right, well, let's do a different one. I'm in my demo environment and sometimes it's not quite production quality. Sorry about that. But I do have another one ready to go and I'll show you that one. So I'm going to go. So that would have been one to kind of walk through how to use search. And I apologize again. It was working 30 minutes ago. It's not working now. This is where we are doing demo and development. So sorry about that. I'm gonna do one for query. So let me click on this one. So I'm a user. I'm entering this word query. It does an automatic search for all of the query options here. Let me go ahead and use one like, for example, build a query. Query is always something that's always been a challenge for many organizations. I run the query class, so I know how many of you all attend my query classes. So I get it. And we can actually just embed a process to help people actually see how to actually run a query process. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on this. It's gonna now take me through the process of navigating. This one's actually gonna take me through the nav bar. So click on the nav bar, click down to the menu. You'll notice this again, this taking me right and drawing my attention right to the spot where I need to click. You'll notice here it's actually taking me right to the right spot in reporting tools. You notice here I'm on the alphabetical menu. If this would have been standard, it would have been just fine because of the way we set these guides up, or these process guides to actually find the right spot in the menu, regardless of if you're standard or alphabetical, regardless of what security you have. If you've got reporting tools, it's going to take you right there and scroll right to that spot in the menu, which I really love because sometimes it's hard to find it in the menu, especially now with the nav bar. Okay, so I'm just going to keep clicking through query manager. Eventually I come to the query manager screen, and it's going to continue down the path of saying, okay, go ahead and create a new query. It's going to go on, it's going to explain what I'm going to see here on this page, talking about the records page, a little bit explanation. So kind of sort of mixing between click here, do this, and then here's some explanation about this screen. In this case, it's going to explain a little bit about records. I'm going to click on next. It tells me, go ahead and enter this query record. So I'll go ahead and do that one and click on next. Says click on search. So it's really walking me through the entire process. It says this is where you're going to find things. So if you think about traditional training that we would do, or you guys might do, all of that really can be converted over into the step-by-step guidance for your users. And the really great thing about it is all of this, since it's HTML based, it's all going to survive your PUM updates. Your PUM updates are not going to change the HTML objects on many of the screens. Even if the screen looks a little bit different or things get moved around, it's tying to, let's say, this HTML object right here. And so even with the PUM updates, these guides will survive those PUM updates. For People Tools does change things from time to time. So there's a big change between 859 860 with respect to the search parameters when you go into components. That does require a little retrofit when you go 859 to 860, but generally the PUM updates survive, or these guides survive the PUM updates. Right. And I'm going to stop it there. It will just continue to walk me through the process of understanding how to do query and explain it all the way along the way. All right. So I'm going to go and stop that. You'll notice that there's this feedback loop that you don't have to have on, but you can. And I can put a rating and please add details associated with blah, 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 right? And I can submit that as the user who's just experienced this. And again, all of that goes into the backend analytics for your support and training people to actually see that and say, okay, we can adjust this guide to add more detail with this or that. So all of that's a really nice way to capture people's feedback and then actually make updates to your guides. All right, let me go back to my home screen, and hopefully that will just pop back up here. Okay, right. And then, so we talked about smart tips, talked about process guide. Let me show you a couple more things here. So we've got the concept of a user is looking for help. So they either looked up a guide in the help center or they saw a smart tip and they got help and they said, sure, I'll get some help. We have the other idea of that I really want to impress on you, that this goes beyond a training model because it actually helps really sort of push information, push training or push guidance to people. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be a casual user and I don't know anything about OGL. Let's just say that's the scenario. I do know that I'm going to click on e-procurement and come in. Maybe this is a supplier portal, and you have suppliers coming in for the first time in your supplier portal, and they have no idea about how to get training. So I'm going to click on this ePro link here, and you'll notice that once I come in here, I actually can now activate a message. This is called a splash tip that says, hey, welcome to this page. For more information on how to become registered, click here. It's policy. If you want to be guided through something, click here, and this will actually guide you through it, or I can click on done. So the idea here is that not only does the user have the ability to go and seek out training or seek out guidance, but as your support team and training team, your PeopleSoft administration team, they can actually push training and push guidance to people. It's a really different paradigm than the traditional model of the user has to know where to get help, and it's on this website or it's in this document somewhere on a SharePoint, that sort of thing. So this is a totally different paradigm where we can actually push stuff, and if it's really easy as a user, they're going to be like, sure, yeah, I'll get some help. I don't remember exactly how to create it, so I'm going to click here, and it's actually going to walk me through. Okay, go ahead and create a requisition. Click on this, and then do this. So you'll notice that the user doesn't actually perhaps realize that they're actually being trained right now. They're just getting guidance, help in the transaction that they're actually attempting to do. So it's really, again, a totally different paradigm. It's very subtle and will help your users, just a much better experience for them to actually learn how to use application, or in some ways, and sometimes your users don't even care to learn the application. They just want help to do this thing they're told they have to do, or they know they have to do. Maybe it's open enrollment, or a manager needs to come in and approve something. So they're going to just go and take that guidance because, again, I don't care to memorize it. Just tell me what I need to do. Okay, I need to click here with the business unit, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So that ability to push things to people, really, really great. Let me just finish this example because I want to show you one more thing. So let's take an example that now the support team, the production support team, has discovered a bug with respect to how people are doing something in a very specific area. There's been a couple of calls. We understand there's an issue, and we want to pop up a message because what we've discovered is that people are doing something the wrong way. So I'm a user, I'm doing this, filling this information out. I'm going to go ahead and put in my information. I'm clicking on next. I click on OK, and I'm just doing my thing. I'm just creating a requisition. And now I come to this screen, and an alert has popped up, and it says, hey, there's been a bug reported in the creation requisitions related to chart field defaults. So it's the same mechanism of popping up a message on a specific screen, but the use case is a little bit different. The use case here is, we've discovered a bug. It's really a bug with the application. It's a bug with the way people are doing things. And so me popping this up and telling them to click here to avoid it and to go into a kind of a happy path of this transaction is something I can literally spin up in about 5 to 10 minutes and put it into production. It's that easy to do that. If you think about this, what you would do in the traditional PeopleSoft model to deal with that, first of all, you probably wouldn't do anything in the application because that would require event mapping, code through App Designer, testing, migrations, approvals, etc. Right? But and so you wouldn't probably do that. The other model, if you don't have this, is you send an email blast to all your potential users of this application. Well, in this case, this is requisitioners. This could be like all the people in my entire organization, and only a portion of those people are actually going to hit on this problem. So this ability to precisely target messaging to the people who are about to hit on an issue is a game changer with respect to communications and PR with respect to how we manage PeopleSoft. It's a complete game changer. So um, this ability, and again, if anybody's ever had to make that choice, that they see something wrong in the system, they know what the problem is, and now they're debating if they should email blast the entire organization. If you know, you know. And I've been there many times. And there's kind of a high bar to, geez, do we really want to communicate this message out to everybody? Because you take this PR hit, and then you start getting people, questioning the stability of PeopleSoft. Again, if you know, you know. It's I've been there many times. So the ability to put this precisely on a page, because only these people that are going to come here are going to hit on this problem, it's just a real game changer. The other thing this can do is the activation of this can simply be associated with the person coming to this page. It can also look at what's happening on the screen. So, for example, let's say somebody enters a financial transaction and they happen to put in Canadian dollar. For whatever reason, PeopleSoft allows that, but as a policy, we don't allow it. We can pop up a message based on what we see the user do and say, hey, we noticed that you just didn't put USD, right? Is this really what you meant to do? Please verify what you're trying to do with this policy, that type of thing. But the key is to actually see what the user's doing and activate a message based on what it sees the user do. That again, total game changer and something you could never do in the traditional quote unquote training model. Okay. All right. Um, just a couple minutes left here. Just show you a couple more things, and then I'll open up to Q&A. So one more concept here is the ability to have what's called a task list, which allows me to group multiple items. This is again a real nice feature. For example, if I am somebody who's coming in as a new user and I notice again, because I know when this person's the first time they come into PeopleSoft, I can pop up this task list to say, hey, here are the things you should do as a new user. When you do them, you'll notice this one's green and basically marked as completed. Once they complete all 5 of these things, this task list goes away. Again, total game changer to sort of produce guided processes and link them all together with a very simple task list. That's very easy to do. Um, Also, and one thing I was going to show you that using search, there are embedded job aids. So let me go ahead and click on this. I could have launched the guide, which unfortunately was broken. Let me click on the job aid. And what this is going to do is going to actually show you a step-by-step instruction. So you don't actually have to do the process to actually see it. So in this case, I can actually go through and see all my steps of that process and just review them. I can also send this to somebody through an email to say, here, review this process. That helps great with a support desk model where they just want to send the guided process to somebody, say, yeah, here's the guided process, go ahead and review it. I also have the ability to then see a video of this process as well, which essentially just walks the person through click by click through all of these screenshots. Um, so again, embedded complete, and just so you know, those job aids and the videos done totally automatically. There is nothing you do special to create those job aids or those videos. All right, that was very fast. Let me quickly stop sharing and look at the chat. See, I know there's a few questions. Let me just sort of jump in there and see what we've got. All right. Okay. So, okay, not in the chat. Let's check the Q&A. Is OGL available for campus solutions? Absolutely. And it's available for any. So first of all, OGL is available for all PeopleSoft. One thing I did not mention here is that we have something called a starter kit, which is pre-built content in all of the pillars. In the deck, you'll see some screenshots and language about, some slides about what we do with starter kit. And yes, we have a starter kit for campus solutions, HCM, and financials. It's also OGL available when you buy it. And we do the licensing, by the way, we do the licensing and the pre-built content. All comes through us, and you get it for all of PeopleSoft and a couple other applications. Can you put a link to external documents? Yes, so URL is completely embedded in all of your steps, and that's great for policy documentation. If you have other training documentation that you want to retain, you can sort of simply link out to additional training documentation, totally available. Once a guide has been configured, how does the testing work? Can the guide be set up directly in prod? So you have 2 models. You have a draft model, which would be linked to a pre-prod or non-prod environment, and you would test in a non-prod. You simply mark it as published, and that publishing process then makes it available in your production environment. You can continue to make changes to it in your non-prod and then just republish to your productions. Very, very simple. It's frighteningly simple. There is no migration. It's very, very easy. Can it be globally and individually turned off? Once you turn on and put OGL embedded in the application, it is on. The individual guides can be activated based on things like PeopleSoft roles and things of that nature. But generally speaking, it's something that you will turn on at essentially a web server layer, and it will just be embedded in your application. All right, last question. Does the admin configure the guides within PeopleSoft or within OGL itself? Unfortunately, I didn't get to that point in the demo. So OGL is a SaaS application that you subscribe to. And with that application, it gets hooked up to PeopleSoft. You go into the OGL application, you say you want to create content, and it takes you into PeopleSoft, and that's where you build the content in PeopleSoft. But then when you save it, then the process guides, all the guides, all the content is saved within the OGL SaaS application, but then it's again displayed in PeopleSoft. All right, one more question. For the pushed messages, when users click on a tile or whatever, can we have that so it only shows up the first time the user clicks on the link, or is it every time? Yes, you are completely in control of the experience there. You can, those activation settings are very comprehensive to say exactly how you want that to happen. So, for example, you could have a welcome message that you could have people come in, and you can put in a remind me later button that says, okay, I don't want to be guided through this thing right now, but just remind me later. And then we can then time that to come back maybe 3 total times, not within 24 hours. There's all sorts of features to do that. And again, if you buy this, and part of what we do with our licensing is we do a whole training workshop. We teach you all the how to do all of that. Like I said, we also do all the installation stuff. Well, I didn't say that, but we do installation. We do the training, we do a proof of concept, all of that part of the licensing. And then on top of that, we also sell our content for all of these different pillars as well. And I'm sorry that was just very, very fast. Normally I take an hour and I try to compress into half an hour. Hopefully that answered all your questions. The deck will be available. Feel free to reach out to me directly. All of this demo that I just did, I do privately for all of the different organizations, whether they come to Oracle or come to us. I get involved and I do the demos, and then I'll be your source of contact, your point of contact for everything PeopleSoft, everything OGL for PeopleSoft related. Please reach out, and I can help you with any of that stuff. Feel free to ask me any questions offline, or anything like that. And with that, I think we'll close down the time. Appreciate everybody's time, and enjoy the conference. Check out our sessions tomorrow if you want to hear directly from a couple customers, and want to hear more how it's going with their customers, or reach out directly if you have any other questions.
Yeah, thank you so much, Cameron. That was an amazing demo, and we had some awesome questions come through. Just a reminder, everyone, I put a link to fill out the session survey in the chat, so feel free to fill that out for us. And then also, Cameron's presentation will be available on the Quest website next week. It will be available for 30 days. So thank you, Cameron. I hope you'll enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you.